All right, so we rolling, man. What's going on? This 24/7 magazine, kicking it with new money today. How you doing, brother?
What's up, Tyrone? How you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. Let's get started off with how you grew up, man, and where you from.
I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, from the north side of Chicago as a kid, and lived out south. You know what I'm saying? And Chicago's been a home for me most of my life. So
All right, so I always tell everybody, Chicago is my number three city on the list. My favorite cities. I
yeah,
always have a ball when I go to Chicago. We got brothers like Deli Dale representing Chicago.
definitely.
Tell us a little bit about the history of Chicago from your perspective, being there, especially from the music standpoint.
And Chicago's got a large music history. I hear of a lot of great talent come from Chicago, like Quincy Jones, Curtis Mayfield, Ron Kelly, Twista. You know what I mean? Kanye West, Common. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the list goes on and on. Um, with all that being said, it's just with that kind of people, with them kind of talents coming up in Chicago, you want to shine too. You know what I'm saying? And you just want to imprint, leave your legacy. So you be one of the names mentioned. It's one of those coming out of Chicago.
Absolutely. So growing up, like you named a whole lot of names. A lot of them done some great work. Growing up and just being in the business and being staples of the music industry. Who did you look up to back in the day?
I looked up to R. Kelly, to be honest with you. I mean, 'cause I was just moved by the way he went about it. You know what I'm saying? He started out in the L, singing in the L, and the man never gave up. Somebody heard him, and then next thing you know, the man blew up. You know what I'm saying? So, hearing that story motivated me to get out there and go strong and go harder.
So when did your music journey start?
My music journey started in high school, and I did talent shows in high school, and that's when I discovered that I had the talent to do the rap, the rap thing. So I took it more seriously, and started doing shows, nightclubs, and one night, what you call open mics, and then at the open mic events, turning them clubs out, and man, trying to run into people like Deli Dale, and man, just promoting the music and going forward for it, man.
So what were some of the like the obstacles you had to deal with early on in the game? Because a lot of artists, Chicago's has a wide range of a pool of talent.
Yeah,
And it's also a place where a lot of people have gotten on. But
yeah.
I've come across a whole lot of artists just during the time that I've been a part of the business, and I've seen a lot of artists come through. So what have you kind of had to go through to kind of break through and get to where you're trying to go?
Man, just meeting the right people. Meeting the right people. People that's gonna be dedicated into your goal and where you try to go with your music. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to blow this thing up. I'm trying to do my thing. You know what I'm saying? It's new money. And one of the obstacles, like I said, is meeting the right people, putting the right team together. You know what I'm saying? And having a strategic plan on promoting and breaking your record.
So what are some of the things that you've done, thus far, like to stand out? Working with, having help, having a team. What's the strategy?
Man, hitting more like nightclubs and radio stations. Things that make sense. That's gonna promote your record. Getting to all the DJs' ears, making sure you meet and rub hands and slap hands with DJs, and taking the record out to them, and like this interview I'm doing with you, with 24/7 magazine. These are strategic moves that Freeman Entertainment made for the artists.
What do you think is missing, with aspiring artists today that artists used to do back in the day that they've kind of slacked off on?
Run up with me one more time, brother.
What do you think is missing in reference to the artists today in 2021? The new wave of artists, they do things a lot differently than artists did coming up
Yeah.
in the early 2000s, 90s, and things of that nature. What do you think they're lacking in reference to their hustle, getting themselves out there that you guys had back in the day?
Man, really, I don't think they lack anything because they got social media now. If
Okay.
we had social media back then, things, if it was popping like it is now, in 21, shoot, I mean, we'd be doing a lot of things differently. You know what I'm saying? I mean, right now is the to me is the better is the more advantage because there's so many media outlets.
All right. Okay. So in my opinion, one thing that I see is that yes, they have the internet, but they not in the streets like they used to be anymore. So
True,
now you have to deal with all of the competition online because everybody's online. So
true,
now the artists that are out here hitting the road and they actually being seen in person, those artists stand out amongst the others.
true. That's you are correct, man. We miss going into the I want to say moms and pops record stores. Where we would go in and sell our units and autographs at the same time for those that come in and want to get a copy of your new single or new record. Those days, yeah, that's what I miss most, if anything. You
Yeah.
know, making that connection with the audience.
Yeah, and I've seen, I checked out your IG page. I saw you and you in this city over here, you in this city over here. A lot of nice looking women been around, things of that nature. So, you're actually getting out and getting active. With that being said, I saw, you spent some time backstage with Mystical. What was that like?
Man, that was love, man. Misko is definitely a down to earth guy. You know what I'm saying? Is a raw performer. You know what I'm saying? Man, that brother still got the juice, man. He's still doing his thing. He's at the top of his game.
All right, now, speaking of, performing, you've done a lot of shows. Tell us a little bit about your single, man.
Big Bubble Yum is a joint that's turn up, it's directed more or less to the strip clubs. You know what I'm saying? The ladies on there with the big bubble yums, we love seeing big bubble yums. So that's what inspired me to make the song Big Bubble Yum, is seeing all the bubble yum come in shapes and different forms inside the club. But I want to have them, give them something they could dance to and something we could turn up to and have a real good time.
Okay. Now, with us being in Atlanta now, obviously I'm originally from Indianapolis, so Midwest, we know what it is in the Midwest. But what can you tell us about the strip club culture in the Midwest versus somewhere like here in Atlanta?
Well, in Atlanta, man, it's to me, it's like these strip clubs is on steroids. You know what I mean? And in Chicago, it's not as turned up as Atlanta. You know what I mean? To me, I mean, man, it, it's beautiful ladies everywhere you go, but Atlanta just have something special about the situation they got going on down here with the strip clubs and the ladies. They definitely come out and have a good time.
So how has, working the record in the strip clubs up north, how's that been so far, with you moving around?
It's been real good. You know what I mean? Everybody's been receiving the record pretty good. I love it when the ladies get up and dance and engage, in the song, man. So that's what we want to see. We love that. It's about them. They're big bubble young. So we love to see that bubble young moving up and down.
All right, so, how long have you been pushing the record?
We just started pushing this record on a hard campaign. Uh, we just started pushing it. I want to say February.
Okay.
Yeah,
And how's it doing so far?
it's doing real good. I'm already on the DRT charts and about to get a plaque for that. So, you know, that was breaking for me to
All right.
chart on that.
So, dealing with fans, dealing with people who know who you are and people who don't, what's been, I guess, the highlight of going to different places and meeting different artists, or not even just artists, but artists and the fans, different women, just getting to know who you are as an artist.
The highlight of that is making a new connection. You know what I'm saying? I like to see people engage in new money, and they like my craft and what I do, and I appreciate them as artists and what they do. So we definitely have a good time. It's always, for me, it's a humbling experience.
So you
Meeting new artists.
Gotcha. Are you pushing just the single by itself, or you have a project coming up, or what?
Well, yeah, we've been pushing the single, and I do have another single out there. It's a slow jam called "You Got Me Thinking." So we've been pushing that as well. That's out there. We're working on the album right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this will be what project in your career so far? Like how many have you released so far?
This I want to say this is my first real release. I mean, we release singles all the time, but this is I feel like my first real release because I got a team with me right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's obviously we've all, been dealing with the pandemic and things of that nature. Things are starting to open back up. Obviously here in Atlanta things have been rolling for a while, but is there any like how do you feel about the pandemic overall and how has it affected you?
The pandemic affected a lot of us in negative ways because we didn't get a chance. We went out, we weren't able to go and perform or be in those shows, things of that nature. Shutting the city down and shutting the states down. But it also gave us opportunity to, look into some things and to take, just to focus on some things we need to get done. And one thing about the pandemic for me, I was able to focus on Big Bubble Yum. You know, if it hadn't been probably for the pandemic, I probably wouldn't have sat down and really focused on it. Because I work a job, you know what I'm saying? When you're working a job and you're trying to pursue your career, sometimes the job comes and gets in the way of what you're trying to do as an artist. So when the pandemic affected my job situation, they gave me time to really sit on what I want to do as far as my music.
Gotcha. Now name a time that like what's your most memorable moment in your career so far and what happened?
Man, the most memorable moment in my career has got to be, I'd say, when I first started getting on the road with my man Uncle B, Squad Getters, and Project Pat. We went on tour, and I met Pat for the first time, and man, it just you just feeling in the moment, being there, and then sharing the same stage with Project Pat. You know what I'm saying? It was a moving experience.
So that happened early on, like early in the game.
That happened in 2016, the first tour.
So y'all were on a whole tour together. What? How many dates did you do?
Yeah, we had like 6 dates. Yeah, 6 days. It's a 6 city tour.
Okay. Now a lot of artists, they don't have the backing and they don't have the team. What kind of advice would you give them?
I would definitely tell them to look for a real good team, a good promoter. Somebody like Deli Dale. You know what I'm saying? Some another team like the Guap Getters. You know what I'm saying? And because these guys definitely know what they're doing in this business, as far as promoting and breaking a record.
Okay.
They really need a team like that with experience.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw a couple days ago, I can't remember what artist it was, but he was doing an interview and he was saying that it cost what was it like 250 to $1 million to break a record.
Again, I can't specify on numbers because again, depends on who is promoting and it depends on also what kind of record you got. If that record is really hot, it wouldn't take that much money to really push it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you got a record that's you trying to get hot, then of course it's gonna take a little bit more of money to
Right.
to push the record.
Now that was going to be the next question, the perspective on an artist. Somebody like him. He's a major artist. I just can't think of who it was off the top of my head, but he's basically saying that that's how much money is going into these singles, whereas other people disagree to say, it didn't cost us that much to push this record, and it's all about having relationships. And depending on what type of record it is, you may can get through the door a little bit easier than you would, dealing with somebody else or, however that goes. But that was my question is basically, having the right people in place to make that work for you.
Yeah, and your hustle. You got to be willing to go out there and grind. You got to be willing to go out there and push the record. You know what I mean? It's not gonna happen sitting at home in front of a computer. You got to go out there and make presentations.
Right. Now, aside from that, we did talk about social media and them having a little bit of an advantage today, which I do agree. I have one of my homegirls from high school actually is on the Erica Banks team, and Erica Banks was able to blow up with, she was already doing what she was doing, but then the Busted Challenge did what it did.
Yeah.
So with you having a record like,
Yeah.
the Bubble Yum record, Big Bubble Yum, it's like, have you went into that avenue yet with TikTok? And I've seen some women. Yeah, you know what? I've seen some women dancing to that record. Yeah. So how's that been working out for you?
That's been working out real good, man. Put the Bubble Yum Challenge out there, and we love to see what the ladies get on the TikTok and do and shake that Bubble Yum. You know what I'm saying? Like they do with everything else they do. We love that. We love that Bubble Yum Challenge.
So do you think? Because I see there's a lot of guys doing some things on social media that's picking up, but I've noticed that the women tend to gravitate more towards the challenges in that way that are connected to the records. So with you already creating a song that's already strip club friendly, is catered to the women. How do you feel about the direction that's going in, being that the women are pushing a lot of these songs to the top?
Man, I feel blessed and good about it. I'm glad they, what I'm saying, they support the record. That they, what I'm saying, they rocking with it. What I'm saying, they messing with new money. That makes me feel real good.
Right. So what have you guys been working on, like, here, aside from pushing the record? You say you got another record in the works as well. What happens within the next couple of months?
Well, we got a lot of show dates. A lot of appearances we're gonna be doing, and we got, just like we got the DJ United conference coming up June 17th. We'll be making an appearance through there, I believe. So it's a lot of things going on. I mean, working in the studio, working on the album, and setting up more shows. Doing interviews as well with 24/7 magazine. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of these type of things going on. So I mean, I really couldn't say on what particular day or time we'll be doing, but we stay busy.
Right. Now, you mentioned the DJs United Conference coming up in Louisville. Again, we're talking about being out in public, networking. How many have you been to? A lot of conferences, coming up, or how's that worked?
Yeah, we went to the last conference I went to is the DJ Coalition, right? That was a nice conference. You know what I'm saying? That was at the Stankonia studio, yeah. And I was able to meet Big Gib and get a picture with him, and gain a little more insight on some things about the music industry.
Now, with that being said, what advice can you give to aspiring artists, and why these events are important?
They should go to these events, and they haven't perform there for the DJs there, so they can critique them and give them some advice on what they need to work on, and the high points and low points. And also, if you already got something that's really good and polished, they'll let you know that too, and the steps you need to go through and to take to get your record really hot and popping. Right. So it's definitely a necessary thing artists should definitely do, and go to things like these conferences and show what they got, so they can promote themselves and network and get their brand out there.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, tell me what your top 5 artists of all time.
Top 5 artists of all time. I don't know, man. It's where can I start at? I got to say, for me, Tupac, Biggie, and I have to say Rakim, Future, Kendrick Lamar.
That's 5.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good list. Good list. I hear a lot of artists, when they mention the top 5, a lot of times it's very similar. It's very rare that you hear somebody give a top 5 and it's, somebody that you wouldn't normally think of. So it's interesting. Obviously Tupac, Biggie, those are always in a lot of people's tops. But with Rakim being of the earlier generation, it's very rare that a lot of people throw him into, their top fives. And now, you're talking about generations. It's almost like it's kind of hard to have a top five unless you break them down into category, because there's the rap game and it's getting bigger and bigger. It's been around for longer at this point, to where it's like, how can you put them all in that little box like that? But I get what you're going with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they delivery, and plus they wordplay. You know what I'm saying? The metaphors. I mean, it's hard for me because DMX is definitely in my top five too. And one of the coldest to me to ever do it is DMX. And I didn't even mention him, but man, like I said, it's you think of top five. I have to reshape that list again because I forgot about DMX. DMX was one of the coldest to me.
And that's why I say it's difficult, because it's so many generations, so many categories. Yeah. It's like, back in the day, we only had a small pool to choose from. Now it's like more and more artists are coming out every day. More and more artists are great. But I do think that that first generation of artists are often overlooked now, being that it's been 20, 30 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chicago. Let's talk about Chicago for a little bit, man. There's a lot of stigmas, a lot going on in Chicago. Obviously, the way people who aren't from Chicago, the way they talk about it, everybody's afraid to go there. Which is odd, because, like I said, it's one of my favorite cities, and I always have a blast when I go. But on the outside looking in, what misconceptions can you clarify about Chicago?
Chicago is a beautiful city. It's a very diverse city. And I just think that as long as you know where you're going and what you're doing, you coming to have a good time, I wouldn't worry about all that extra stuff you hear on the news. Because, the news is the news. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that the news kind of exaggerate things. You know what I'm saying? I think that Chicago is one of the best cities in the world to be at.
Here recently, I read that O Block is being sold.
O Block.
Yeah, the projects. They're selling the projects, and Lil Durk is interested in buying it, but they said it's gonna be about $75 million to purchase.
Tax, huh?
Yeah. And it's like, it reminded me of, Cabrini Green, and how, obviously back in the day, a lot of people that didn't live in Chicago knew about Cabrini Green from Candyman. And now that, they've done what they've done with that, and I think it's gone. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They took a lot of them buildings now.
Yeah, so the new movie that's coming out is showing what it is now, all of these years later. So it made me think about that, just in reference to a lot of things that's happening in our inner cities and gentrification. They're coming in, buying up everything, like places like New York City, where a lot of the people who've been there forever, generations, now Brooklyn and a lot of places are starting to be gentrified. So with the sale of O Block, I was just wondering, what's going to happen with that once it's sold, if somebody like Durk or something like that doesn't get it.
I really couldn't tell you, man. I really couldn't say. It's anybody's guess what'll happen.
Yeah,
I don't know if they'll. Dirk, he could possibly get it. He could possibly get it, and he may have some ideas to bring that place, into make it a better place for our people to be at.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Which would be something great.
All right, so tell us something about yourself that people don't know, man, that most people don't know.
most people don't know, I like to watch kung fu movies. You know what I'm saying? It's one of my favorite things. I like
Right.
to see, ever since Bruce Lee, everybody try to come behind him, and sometimes the ad libs, and sometimes you catch the ones with the mouth moving, and there's a voiceover. So, but it'd be fun to watch though.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I got one of my best friends, man. I got a story. You know how Bruce Lee, you got about 5 films of Bruce Lee that everybody loves. The main 5.
yeah,
We were in high school, senior year. He had never saw Game of Death. And he had just basically came upon Bruce. So he was watching the 4 movies. He was watching them all the time, like over and over again. And when I finally let him watch Game of Death, he was like almost ready to cry. Like his feelings was hurt because it wasn't, Game of Death didn't have Bruce Lee all the way through it. It had a stand-in for most of the movie.
right.
So he was just seeing that for the first time, man, and it really hurt his feelings that it wasn't Bruce Lee the whole time. So that's always funny to me, man. Every time somebody mentions we mention kung fu movies and just growing up watching those, it was like it was a shattering experience for him at the time.
Right. A few years ago, I had to watch it for the first time. So
Oh wow,
because
wow.
I had never seen it,
Okay.
and when I seen it, you could tell it wasn't Bruce Lee a little bit. Dude, the shape a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I feel where dude's coming from with that.
Oh yeah. All right, so lastly, give me a couple things about yourself that people aside from the music, who are you as a person?
New Money is a cool, laid back, turn up person. Like to get it in, have a good time. You know, I like to enjoy life. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the only one life we have to live. So I like to live life to the fullest. That's what New Money like to do. You know what I'm saying?
Now, how can people find you and follow your movement, man?
They can find me on social media. On Instagram, it's first underscore new underscore money, and on Facebook, it's at New Money 2015.
Okay, and once again, the single.
The single is Big Bubble Yum. You know what I'm saying? Man, Big Bubble Yum, Big Bubble Yum, and also You Got Me Thinking.
You got me thinking. Okay.
You got me thinking.
All right, cool. All right, New Money. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. Much success to you in the future. Keep us posted on everything, and
You can get it also on all digital outlets.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Get the single on all digital outlets. So.
All right, man. Well, we'll see you at that conference, and much success to you in the future, man.
A shout out to you, Tyrone. Thank you for having me, man, and thank you 24/7 Magazine for having me. And shout out to Lucky too. You know what I'm saying? And everybody at DJ United Radio. I want to send a shout out to them, man. Thank them for supporting New Money, Big Bubble Young record too.
Gotcha.
Yeah.